So yeah, the main thing I wanted to discuss today was around 5-star service. And having done some research myself, the definition of 5-star service, can you tell me what that is, straight off the bat?
I probably can't.
Throw you in the deep end?
No.
That's right. What it says is...
Depends on who, in whose eyes.
True, that's true. And that's actually part of what it says. 5-star service is the highest level of service. Obviously, true 5-star service is built into the culture of a company and is evident in every point of contact and engagement that company has with its customers. 5-star service is about exceeding customer expectations time and time again. So that's pretty cool. Like, it's some pretty strong points in there around culture and that sort of thing, and every engagement and contact. And so the reason I wanted to talk to you about this is because you've got a heck of a lot of experience in that customer service and 5-star environment. So let's just talk about your journey, Jay, from where you sort of started out to, and we'll eventually get to what you're doing now with Active.
Yeah, no, great.
Where did that all start for you?
Okay, thank you for the opportunity.
No worries.
Yeah, heck of a lot of experience, you say. It's actually very true. I actually went to a function last night, and some guys that I've known for 25 years were there, and same things in hotels. So look, my background, I started out in hospitality management and hotels, and ended up going down the chief concierge route, I suppose. And various different hotels throughout Auckland. Four hotel openings, and each one of those as chief concierge, where service is paramount. Guest is best, all that sort of stuff. So it's cliche, but exceeding expectations is sort of in my DNA. And that's what sort of started. And it's a very rewarding, it's a very rewarding role, and very rewarding. Great.
At what point in your young life growing up did you actually sort of want to get into that type of industry? Was there a moment where you were like, shit, I would really love to do that?
So I did hospitality management training down in Wellington, and from there, I moved to Auckland. Truth be told, I did a 3-month trial and made $1,300 in tips. And back in those days, you took one bag and it was American $1 note. You're 18, 19, and you're getting all this money for nothing. You take a newspaper, which is free up to the room, and they give you $5, and you think, happy days.
Yeah.
So
good deal.
Yeah, so you go and take another one the next day, all of a sudden you're living off tips, and back in those days, and you don't even touch your bank account. So it was about then probably when I thought, right, that's something I want to do, and sort of stayed in that hotels for a while. Started my own business for a while, concierge business, and commercial buildings here in Auckland, the Vero Centre. But to be fair, it was 25 years ago, and it was just too early.
Yeah, you're before your time.
Yeah. So, and I actually went over to Australia and saw what they did, and they just were basically outsourcing to security companies, and thought that's the way we're going to go. So, I couldn't compete. So, I wound that up, but got offered to go to Sky City Grand at that stage actually. So, and do. Just after the opening of that, so.
And then you were with Air New Zealand as well?
Yeah, so after hotels, I literally got offered a position, with Air New Zealand, setting up their in-flight concierge role. So, and at that stage, it was a world first Euro concierge at 35,000 feet, and looking after not only the front of the plane and the gold elites and the business class, but right through to economy. So, and that saw me sort of travelling to North America every 8 to 10 days. So, look, it sounds fantastic, and it was fantastic for the first few months, but it gets to a point as well. So I said I'd do 2 years, I ended up doing 4. But like anything, the best part about ever travelling is when you're home back in New Zealand, telling people you've just been to Los Angeles or just been to New York or just something like that, and the look on their face, and of course they think, wow, but you don't tell them you spent 5 hours trying to get there, and all the waiting, and some kid was kicking your seat and all that sort of stuff. So
you must have gave the old duty free a hammering over the years.
Yeah, they probably they didn't really
know you by first name.
No, they didn't. let's just say the cabin bags were probably, they weren't weighed as crew, so
Yeah. Enough said.
it wasn't really duty free. You can just buy everything overseas, but you bring it back all legally. But the weight limit didn't really apply to cabin crew.
Excellent, nice little perk. Yeah. What you said before about tipping.
Yep.
Tipping, because New Zealand's we don't have a tipping culture really. It's not like the States where it's expected that you tip, and you tip anywhere from like mainly 15 to 20%, sometimes 25%. So when you were saying you were earning money off tips back in those days, that must have been, was it off locals or was it off sort of foreign travellers?
Foreigners. Yeah, foreigners. Mainly back in those days, you had your big group tours come through, and it was $1 a bag, so that would be the porterage that they would get. They would give through, and that would be shared amongst sort of the porters on the day as well. So, because that's when I first started portering, or executive luggage transfer engineer was my official title.
Nice. Yeah. Classic. What was that again?
Executive luggage transfer engineer.
That's awesome. It's like the guy that pumps gas, the petroleum transfer technician. You got to give these roles awesome names like that. Yeah. And so when you were sort of coming up through the ranks and things, and was the 5-star environment or service or expectation sort of constantly talked about or discussed in your training?
Yeah, definitely. And that's when I say, like, it's really just, it's in your DNA. You get it rammed down because it's so important. And I used to have a saying that when I looked after a lot of celebrities in hotels, and you treat celebrities like normal people, but normal people like celebrities. And that's
cool.
And that's sort of the mantra though is, people come, you don't know. I mean, people used to not like it, but celebrities, you don't go running up and get their autograph or get a selfie or anything like that. It was autographs in those days.
I don't think selfies would have existed back then.
Yeah, no. Because they don't want that. They want to be like normal people. So, but yeah, the 5-star service thing, it's just the little things, and I've got famous stories of. The best ever story, I think, being little things is, and we are talking 25 years ago now, but there was a couple that came over from Australia, and they actually they came over for the names just escape me now. The Neil Diamond.
Oh yep.
Yeah, the Neil Diamond concert, and he was performing, and the travel agent had rang them and said, "Oh look, we don't have their." We've stuffed up. We haven't got your tickets to the show, even though they'd flown over here and everything from Australia. So they said, look, basically, money's no object. Find out, go and stay somewhere, or go to the nice restaurant and we'll pay for it all. We'll reimburse you. So I said, well, look, at that stage, I said, go down to Huggett Lodge.
Nice.
In Taupo.
Yep.
And so they were like, okay, so they did all this. They went down, and they actually rang me the next day from the airport, and I'm like, what's happened? And they was like, you knew, you little bugger. And I was like, oh, well, sorry, what? Yeah. And sure enough, he had stayed there after a show.
So Neil Diamond stayed at Huggett Lodge, just where these people were staying as well. That's cool, eh?
Yeah.
What a cool little story.
Yeah.
I bet they still tell all their mates that story as well.
Yeah, but that's the sort of thing that stays with you.
Did they actually get to meet him?
Oh, yeah, I assume so. Yeah.
That's cool. Awesome. Nice little perk, and a good a good result for after an era.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if you saw, there was an article in the paper in the last couple of days about that family. I think they were from the Hawke's Bay, and their trip to the UK was all stuffed up through one of the booking websites.
Yep.
And it ended up costing them another $16,000 or $20,000. It seemed to be like an issue with communication, but they couldn't get through to the booking site, and it just turned into a bloody nightmare. And it was like their trip of a lifetime type thing. And yeah, I don't know if they necessarily got the Neil Diamond Huggett Lodge sort of outcome, but it's great that the company could put their hand up and say, we stuffed up, we're going to make it up to you. and that's part of that expectation thing.
Yeah.
You know, that's forever. Those people will be thinking, "Shit, that was 5-star service."
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it was the little things. So, in hotels and within New Zealand as well, you get to know, you know, your regular flyers, your gold elites that flying, but your regular guests, you get to know what they like, and yeah, they. You know, whether they want a cup of tea, you know that they always have a cup of tea when they come into their room. So, you know, you're taking them into the room, you're dropping their bags off, you know, and already you've put out a cup and a saucer, you know, and open the tea bag box and stuff like that. So just little things like that, which you sort of and you pick up, and they appreciate it, you know. You know, and that could be the little thing. You know that someone comes up from Wellington all the time, so you know, get the Dominion Post. You know, get it delivered to them.
Yeah, nice personal touch.
Yeah, and it's that's that sort of stuff too, which that's the rewarding part. So part of my journey though through hotels and with the service side was actually joining as well was the Hotel Concierge Society called Le Clef d'Or.
Yep.
So it's a French society. So it exists in New Zealand. So there's 22 current members in New Zealand. But yeah, so.
Are you're one of them?
I'm an honorary member now.
Yep.
But I spent 8 or 9 years in the society, and yeah, and that's all around. I mean, service with friendship, and service with friendship. Sort of the credo there, and yeah.
What's the purpose of Le Clef d'Or?
Yeah.
Le Clef d'Or. What is the purpose of that? Is it to provide like say an international bar for everyone to aspire to?
Yeah.
Provide a standard in training?
You've probably seen it. It's the Golden Keys that worn on the lapels. So and it's obviously right throughout the world. I can't tell you the numbers and stuff anymore, but yeah, when you go to a hotel and you see someone with the crossed keys, you know you can go to them. You know they've reached the bar. There's a lot of training. There's a lot of stuff that comes with it. And you know that you're going to get the best of the best. So that's your 5-star service right there.
Yeah. And so where did you study for that? Was that in New Zealand, or did you have to go overseas for that?
Oh, huge study, a lot of study.
Yeah.
No, it's just really, it just comes with time. It comes with time, experience in the role. It's not just you'll do process. You've got to be nominated from within. You've got to have your hotel general managers, buy in and support. With a letter. You got to go through a mini sort of exam, interview panel type stuff. There is a little exam actually.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, but to get something and to be part of a club like that's pretty special though.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's not exactly it's a pretty limited membership, I'd imagine.
Yeah.
Yeah. What is your thoughts on Qualmark? They seem to be they're obviously they sort of was a judge, or they sort of set a standard for hotels. And did you ever have any dealings with them?
Not through the hotel side of things, but yes, in the rental car world. Yeah.
Oh, they go into rental cars.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. So
do they do standards across lots of different industries?
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
I didn't realise that.
Yeah. No, we were. We were lucky enough to, on the budget rental car side of things, to achieve gold, gold approved. And look, it's a fantastic organisation. I think what it is really, it's just that reassurance. It's probably being superseded a little bit by your Google reviews and stuff like that. But it's like the hospitality grade. When you go to the fish and chip shop and you see the A, if you see a B, you go, oh, hang on, should we go just go down the road a little bit more? It's that sort of stuff. So it's the reassurance, and that's not an easy process to get either. They just don't give them out. They have someone that comes through and looks at the hotels and does all that sort of stuff. So
yeah, we've got one at a building on the mid-October.
Yep.
So I think they haven't done one since COVID, so it'll be the first time in say 3 years or so. But yeah, I'm actually going to go along to that because I'm quite fascinated by it and just see what they look at from the hotel point of view, but then also there'll be things in the building that would need to be up to a certain standard as well.
Yeah.
So that'll be quite interesting to tag along to that and see what they look for. Yeah. The 5-star, I often wonder why it's 5 and not 10. Where did the number 5 come from? I mean, it's it just seems like
5 fingers.
Is that it?
No, I don't know.
Oh, makes sense. I'd have believed that straight off the bat, no problem. Because everything's usually 10 out of 10. It's not 5 out of 5. So I guess 10's too many stars. It probably clogs up their advertising or what have you. But what do you sort of subscribe to the most out of 5-star service? Like, is there a couple of key things from your time in that service industry that you always carry with you?
Yeah, the key thing is how you're treated, and the prime example now. So I'm not sure when. I mean, COVID obviously, but when did you last fly?
Start of June.
Start of June. Okay. So what seat number were you in?
July. Shit, I can't remember.
Exactly.
Yeah.
How were you treated though? Were you welcomed?
Yes.
Was it a good flight? Were you farewelled?
It was awesome.
That's what people remember.
Yeah.
People don't remember the seat they're in, but they remember how the experience. So they remember, how they were treated, how they were, welcomed, farewelled, all that sort of stuff. So, much like hotels.
Yeah.
You don't remember that you stayed in room 301, but you remember turning up, checking in, somebody being really, really nice, someone looking after you, taking your bags, coming down, going, we want to go for dinner somewhere. Where should we go? Go down this restaurant here. Yeah.
Actually got a little story about that. It must have been about 7 or 8 years ago. We were lucky enough to stay at the Eagle's Nest up in the Bay of Islands with some friends. They'd sort of won this prize during some charity auction, and they're like, "You guys want to come along?" We're like, "Absolutely, for sure." So we stayed at Eagle's Nest up in the Bay of Islands. Didn't really know what to expect. I'd heard it was amazing, and we had one of the smaller houses that you stay in. And we were like, that was quite 5 stars, pretty flash. Quite a laid back setting, which was quite neat.
Yep.
But the thing that we found about it that we really enjoyed, and we because we sat there trying to figure out, like, why is this place so awesome? Apart from the obvious, like, it's beautiful and it's very well set up, but it was the little things like you were saying. It was the fact that the fridge was stocked.
Yep.
And you could just eat whatever you wanted. The booze was all there, like it's a swimming pool, the linen was fantastic, the towels were amazing, just those little creature comforts. And we sort of figured that because everything was there, we weren't, and it was all included, you don't sort of make a pig of yourself. If it was like there and you had to pay for it, it would have been like a different experience and a different interpretation of it. And yeah, we just thought that it was all these little bits that added up to a really amazing experience. Like, we weren't, we didn't have too many expectations of it, but we left there feeling, shit, it was an amazing stay. And they had bikes that you could hire, and everything was just there, and you could just do whatever you pleased. You didn't have to pay extra for anything else. And that was, that kind of really stuck with me, and I was like, yeah, that's a really cool way to, to run an operation like that. So that was a really nice place, and I don't know if I'd ever stay there again, but I remember it.
Yep.
Yeah. Have you stayed in some pretty swanky hotels around the world?
I have actually. Very fortunate to obviously be in that industry, and going around, sort of traveling around Europe as part of Le Clé d'Or. And I'd actually just been to one of the international congresses, and of course you meet everyone, and they say, "Oh, come and I'm going there. Oh, come and stay at our hotel." And you're paying £50 a night, and it's a £350 a night room, that was phenomenal. But also been lucky enough, stayed in an overwater bungalow, Moorea.
Nice.
That was, she wasn't my wife then, but she is now. But I said this is our honeymoon because I'm not going to be able to afford it to come back again.
Heaps of little perks in that industry by the sound of it. There's a lot of that interconnection, and like you said, come stay here or come do this, and there's a lot of that. Like everyone looks after each other in that hospital industry.
Oh, in service through friendship is the whole the credo of Le Clé d'Or, and that's the sales guys within hotels. They even know each other. There's no. I mean, the hotels in Auckland, for one, is if someone needs roller beds or something like that, then one housekeeper will call the other one and say, "Have you got any?" And that's it. You would help the other ones out, which is probably a really interesting industry, and that's because there's enough of them. There's enough hotels and big hotels, but everyone's doing the same thing for the betterment of the guest.
was talking to the guy at the local cafe yesterday, and he's been in the hospital. He's had that cafe for like 15 years or something, and he's been making coffee for forever. You know, he understands coffee and humidity and like adjusting the grind and all that sort of things. He's very detailed and passionate about it. Very good at making coffee. But he was saying that, you know, he trained to be a waiter and like a barista and stuff like that. And that's, what am I trying to say here? There's an art to service, right? And you can tell good or great service when you receive it, as opposed to there's also a perception in New Zealand that service, like being a waiter, is a low job, and it's like a minimum wage sort of job. And when you go to other countries where service is like thought of really highly, or it's actually a career profession, as it should be.
Yep.
You know, the service that you get from someone who's a professional, as opposed to someone who's just maybe just out of high school, out of university, or studying or whatever, is light years apart.
Yep.
Did you ever experience that?
Yeah, I have. And I suppose really that the biggest thing is when you travel internationally, the wait staff and the ones, because they work for tips, so you know they do go out of their way, and they sort of provide that service because they know that they're going to get a tip. Yeah.
But it still seems to be like quite genuine though, like actual professionals that are that are trained. You know, it's not just carrying a plate.
Yep.
To and from the kitchen. It's a whole lot more. It's about making your guests feel comfortable, relaxed, tending to their needs and stuff like that, and you know, creating that environment. I guess that comes from the restaurant management and how they want their customers to be treated and their restaurant to be perceived. There is quite is an honest difference between carrying a plate and creating an atmosphere for someone on a special night out, you know,
Yep.
dinner for example.
Yep.
Yeah. Did you ever work in restaurants at all?
No, not really. I've done a little bit of, you do a little bit of conference and banqueting type stuff in hotels, to sort of help out and be part of the team. But yeah, nothing like full on or for a long period or anything like that. No.
Yeah. So how did you end up at Avis?
Okay, Avis is a pretty simple one actually. It was I was currently flying with Air New Zealand, doing the in-flight concierge role, and I just really wanted to stop flying. My partner at the time, at that stage she was in Brisbane, and she had moved back to New Zealand, so it probably wasn't fair really for me to carry on flying, and I dealt a lot in hotels with Avis and as a rental car company, and that was the role that was up for grabs at the time, looking after the hotel. So it was an easy transition in terms of me going back into this role, but going back around the hotels, which are these guys that I've known for the past 10 years at that stage. So
yeah. And then while you're at Avis, you were at Avis for a good amount of time.
Yeah, 8 years.
8 years, and then COVID.
Yep, along came COVID. So I was in part of the tourism side of the business, and it was along came COVID, so it was that was it. The rest is history, really. So that sort of stopped that area, and hence I ended up here, and basically it was a 6-month I'll say sabbatical out, but it was I ended up just looking at it going, right, transferable skills, what can I use in a different industry? At that stage I was really looking at a COVID-proof industry, and I didn't really want to join another company and then 2 months later, or not even that, we go back into lockdowns or something like that, and they say, oh, sorry, last on first off, and which obviously which happened in the sense of lockdowns. Ended up coming here, which is great.
Yeah, because I mean, like, I remember the interview process and stuff, and so you've been out of work for 6 months. Shit, that's a long time. And you came in. I think you actually applied initially. We had it was a concierge role, I think, at a building. Yeah. And they said, "Oh, mate, that's been filled, unfortunately. But come and have a chat anyway, and you're good enough to come in and just have a chat and just talk about stuff." And I remember that it was a good discussion. It was like was kind of like not quite an interview, but it was more just a conversation, I guess.
I've told the story about I don't know how many times now, but yeah, exactly right. It was a conversation as if we were having a coffee.
Yeah.
Without the coffee, you owe me a coffee.
Oh, I don't. Oops, sorry.
But yeah, so. But then you rang me the next day or a couple of days later and said, "Oh, I'll come back for a second interview." And I'm like, "Well, I didn't realise it was a first." So,
Okay, come back for a second interview.
but probably what was even funnier there, though, for me, was I was like, "Yep, definitely, I'll come back in." And then I came in, and first thing I said was, "Look, this sounds really bad, but I actually have no idea what I'm being interviewed for." And you
Good old
said,
active way.
"Do you remember what you said?"
No, I don't.
We have no idea either.
Oh, gee, that doesn't sound like me. Yes, it does. Shit, is that right? God.
Yeah.
That is actually coming back to me now.
Yep.
It is actually coming back. Yeah. Classic. Still don't know. No, mate, it was, I guess, we thought, shit, he's got some great skills that can carry over into building management. Yep. And, you can learn the building management thing, but I think the service aspect is, that you can't teach that. I don't think I think people who are really good at customer service have something about them that is, they just understand it like sort of quite deep down.
Yep.
And it's effortless for them. They don't have to try to provide service. It's just something that sort of flows out of people, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you're like that.
Look, there's thank you. There's so many synergies, I suppose, really between sort of working in hotels and working in building management. You don't have to know how to fix a leak or change lights or anything like that, but you just have to, logically, you know sort of what, who to call. I mean, I always say it's 85% probably relationship management, and the relationship between the owners, the residents, the contractors, the BC managers and BC chairs. That's really the key part of it. And yeah, the rest is probably common sense. I know common sense isn't that common sometimes, but you're walking through a lobby, you see some rubbish, you pick it up. You don't just leave it. And that's probably ingrained from hotel days, where you wouldn't just leave rubbish sitting there or anything like that. So
it's that first impression type thing.
Yeah.
That was one of our things from early on, was like never step over a mess. I mean, just the cleaner's coming in later. It's like, well, too bad. Like, clean it up now. Like, and save the cleaner a job or whatever. But it also might mean that other people step through it and it makes a bigger mess or what have you, depending on what the mess is. But yeah, no, I don't think anyone should be too precious to think that cleaning or picking up a bit of rubbish is below them. I mean, we're in a service industry for, and that's what we're there for, to make sure that these common areas and the buildings are as best presented as they can be.
Yep.
So, what do you, coming from a 5-star environment and that 5-star philosophy, what sort of do you have like sort of things that you do like in your daily routine, like as a person, not so much maybe work related, but are there sort of things that do you carry yourself to a particular standard?
Yeah, I suppose I do. I'd like to think I do. It's I mean, always clean shoes, clean clothes, iron shirts, all that sort of stuff. Pocket square.
Yeah, I see that.
Yeah, dressed up, living the brand. No,
colours.
Yeah, but just I suppose it's just going that extra mile. Excellence.
Good stuff. I see what you're doing.
Yeah. One of our values. So yeah, I suppose I do. It's everything communicates. If you're going to work and you're not dressed right, you just your clothes are really you just, as if you don't care, then your mind says you don't care. You don't want to be there. So it's an age-old adage, I suppose. But if you dress the way you want to behave and you want to perform. So, but also too, like I said before, everything communicates. So, in the sales aspect, people don't want to deal with someone just who hasn't made the effort to actually dress up or anything like that. So,
because from a sales point of view, your first impression, like you're selling yourself.
Yep.
And if you turn up and you look bloody tardy or whatever, then people are going to be like, "Oh, you're trying to sell me what?"
Yeah.
And you look like that.
Yeah.
So that clothes go a long way.
Yeah, I mean, the more you talk, the more I think a lot of it comes back to hotels. But 30 seconds is that first impression, right? That they always talk about. So you've made your mind up, but when you see somebody, whether or not you actually want to engage with them, talk to them, in that first 30 seconds. So that's the key part, right there. So.
Yeah, and it's a very small window of time, and it's something that it moves through. Like, you don't often get that chance ever again.
Correct.
Depending on what sort of environment you're in, that's a fleeting moment. And if you miss that moment, then sales gone. An opportunity lost potentially. Yeah. What was the sort of the biggest, I guess, learning curve for you, or eye opener coming from your previous company, so in rental cars, to coming into active and doing building management?
Clearly they're completely different fields.
Yeah.
Look, the biggest thing was probably the amount of buildings that Active had. I didn't even know that sort of was an area that existed. Some of the big buildings, and when you actually mention, well, you've got those ones. Well, okay. Coming from hotels, some of these big buildings are bigger than hotels. So I was like, well, this is quite a great company to work for. There's probably a couple of things. Probably have to think about that one a little bit more. But it was
I guess one thing, I've heard this from a couple of the team that have come from the hotel industry, and suddenly they've moved into like a residential environment, is that you're dealing with people on a day-to-day basis now. You're not dealing with them staying.
Correct.
You're dealing with them in their homes where they live, as opposed to a hotel. They come and stay with you for a night, 2 nights, 3 nights, then they're gone. And you mightn't see them again, or you might see them on a regular basis, just not very often in a hotel. But when you're in an apartment building, it's someone's home.
Yep.
And you might see them every day. They literally become part of you become part of the furniture, part of the family of the building. And it's different. You're actually building a different relationship with them. It's like a long-term relationship as opposed to a high and buy type thing.
Yep.
Yeah. Would that be fair?
Oh, very fair, 100%. It's there's a lot more emotional attachment in residential apartments, and even versus obviously commercial, where people, that's just their place of work. At the end of the day, someone's paying the bills, but it's actually not that person who's actually working there more than often. And in your residential apartment, it's actually yours. It's your investment. It's your asset. So they are more invested in it. And it's the little things that we might look at. Oh, that's fine. It's not going to worry, but they think it's a major. And they want it addressed, which is understandable.
What do you think it is about your personality, like your natural traits and that make you good at what you do?
I like just to sort of exceed expectations, and I just love those little things, and getting it right, and doing those little things right. That's what sort of goes a long way. I have no issues with dealing with the shop floor, the top, whoever in between, and and that's probably come from hotels, because you don't know when someone's walking through the door what they do for a job, but you're treating them the same way, and that's probably why I can relate to so many different types of people as well. And airlines is the same thing. That was just a carryover from hotels. I mean, it's a cliche, but people person, and that's I often look at the little things that's going out of my way to sort of make something better.
That's good, man.
Yeah,
good. Because like I said before, people that are naturally good at service, it just seems effortless for them. And it's funny, like when you see someone who's trained to do a certain thing in the service industry, and you can tell that they're like literally stepping through it while they're doing it in their brain. You can see it, they're a bit awkward, a bit nervous or whatever. Whereas people like yourself, that it comes naturally to it, everything just sort of, it's easy. moves?
Oh, look, I'm a planner in the inside though, and having a plan is key for me, and not having a plan is sometimes can be a little bit. Oh, hang on, what's going to happen here? So if I know something's happening, then there'll be a plan, even if it's just a mental plan. There's a plan in place, and this is how it should go. Not in a perfectionist way. And if it doesn't go that way, then you go, shit, what did I do? But it's there's definitely a plan behind it, and that goes with anything. Whether it be a meeting, you'll have a what your agenda is, what you want to get out of this meeting. So
direction.
Yeah.
Outcomes.
Yeah.
We've talked to a lot of people recently around. It's like this. There's this thing that happens. It's like almost like a curse of your industry, where the job or task that you do regularly ends up being like something that you carry with you throughout your day-to-day life. As an example, say as a building manager, you might go to the mall and you start looking around at the mall. And
I've done that. I've put the yellow cones out just because that door didn't open. They're still there.
Yeah. And it's like you start to notice things and you're, oh shit. But I was going to say, with yourself in that 5-star service and hospitality environment, when you actually go to say a restaurant or go on a flight, or you go to a hotel, do you actually ever become that critical guy, or can you separate yourself from that?
My wife's going to probably say the opposite, but I do. Certainly, you sit back and restaurants. I'm certainly not that guy that goes to a restaurant and goes, "Oh, you're doing this wrong" or anything like that. That's certainly there's restaurants that you do go to and you think, "Oh, I wouldn't have done that," but you never really voice it or anything like that. But I suppose really it's, hotels, because the processes, and airlines because the processes, and what should be done and what shouldn't be done, and you just sort of it's always going to stick with you.
The old Google reviews, the 5-star Google reviews and things like that. They've become quite a very accurate measure, I guess, or are they an accurate measure of what's actually going on out there? Because now we're getting, people have got an opportunity now to give a review between 1 and 5 stars using Google or like TripAdvisor, or all those things seem to have a rating system. Rightly or wrongly, do you think those rating systems are actually a fair reflection on like certain industries, or is it just people having a rant or being overly generous?
Look, great question. It's I'm probably not the qualified person to answer it, but in my opinion, it's anyone can go on and do a Google review. There's probably, the first question is you want to know the explanation behind it, and if they go in and say the explanation first, and this is what happened, and and then this is what we're giving them, then you can sort of go, well, you also want to know the other side. There's always two sides to a coin, and so someone just to go on and say, nah, this was horrible, it's a 1 star, then you'd probably take it with a bit of a grain of salt, because you don't know the situation behind it. But if you do know the situation, if someone gives 5 stars and says great things, this happened, this, and they outline it as, then you sort of take their, they don't go use their time to go to their way to not promote it. There is obviously self-promotion, which people can do, friends and family, so take that with a grain of salt as well. I remember back probably 10 years ago when there was literally KPIs for companies to make sure you did these Google reviews on their own company. But that all changed, and the industry wisened up, so to speak. Every
man and their dog is a critic these days, and everyone's got that opportunity to, no one seems to mind when it's positive, but when it's negative, like, you tend to look at the negative reviews. And I know our company reviews are pretty bloody good actually, and we've been told that by a number of people. They said, "Shit, you've got a good." I think it's about 4.7 or 4.8.
Yep.
And that's pretty good over about 170 reviews or something. But you can see these patterns with if you investigate a company that's got like just bad reviews,
Yep.
and you go, well, that's indicative of how they operate, and it must be fairly true. But then you look at a company like ours, there's a shitload of 5-star reviews and a couple of like 1s, and you go, well, there's more 5s than 1s, so that must be indicative of how they operate too. We've been through an issue recently where we received a 1-star review from an owner in a building who, gotta watch what I say here, who we ended up in the middle of a situation that we had no control over, and we were actually told to stay out of that situation and let the chairperson deal with it. So we did that, but this particular individual decided to give us a 1-star review.
Yeah.
And we actually replied to it after a few days, and like we stood our ground, and we'd had some interactions with this person over the phone. One of our team had an interaction, and they were horrific. You know, it was like horrible things were said by that person to our staff. I said, right, well, I'm going to let people know in the Google review that you've said these nasty things about us for no reason. I'm going to actually fight it back a bit of fire with fire and explain, in fairly like loose terms, what you said to our staff and how you treated our staff. Because it's real easy for someone to throw a stone at a company, and often if you don't sort of fight back, then they have the advantage. And you can actually have these reviews taken down. I was like, no, we're going to leave this one up. It's a 1-star. It's there for everybody to see. But this person actually changed their review about 5 times. We've got different screenshots of the review changing. Like the story was changing and adding in detail and taking out things. But we've just left our reply. And I'm quite happy just to leave that there, because I think people need to see that and just need to see the fact that we're actually being open and honest ourselves, and we're leaving it there as an example of, hey, if you're going to say those sorts of things, you need to back yourself up.
Yeah. Look, one of the things I do actually really enjoy about working here at Mount Active is it is very open and honest. We don't have if you're sitting in here now, just to be able to knock on and come in, hey, have you got 2 minutes? Come up with an idea, pitch it pretty much in a very easy, in an email format to yourself and Kylie, and it's a yes or no. You don't have to go through the BS, the paperwork, previous roles, go global, send something offshore, wait 3 weeks, then get legal involved, and then come back. It's a pretty much like with that. Let's run with it.
It's simple, and it's like, we don't want to get caught up in the, I guess, bureaucracy or make things difficult. But because I think if you don't have that approach, then you can tend to drag people along or down certain paths, and then think, oh shit, something's happening here. This is great. It's all going to happen, and then it doesn't happen. They're like, ugh. But if you're quite up front at the start and say, we're probably not going to do that, or let's bloody do that, go for it, then at least people know where they stand with it, rather than sort of being, carrot teased along and and that sort of thing. But I appreciate the feedback. Hey, it's good, and we want all of our team to be like that. We want everyone to be open, sharing information, putting their hand up and not being scared to ask questions.
Oh, it's a bloody good team.
It really is a good team. There's a lot of good people, It's and we've found that this, with this latest sort of turnover, it's the people that are coming in are really good too. I'd be concerned if good people are leaving and there's no one sort of coming to replace, or lesser quality. But we're finding, across the board, there's a really good group of people that are moving around in the market at the moment. So that's pleasing. What else can we talk about 5-star service? I mean, you've touched on the Google reviews service. Do you think that 5-star service is actually something that you can sort of lay over any industry? Or is it only really service industry?
No, you probably can actually lay it over different industries, because it's predominantly obviously service industry, but you can. I suppose really you can. It's transferable, so you can take it into whatever you're doing. I'm just trying to think of examples, I suppose, but
it's a standard, eh? So
Yeah.
you think even if you're selling a product,
Yep.
you still want your product to be a 5-star product. You don't
Yep.
want it to be 1 star and here is a 5-star product. It's got to be, honestly good product that you stand behind. It's got to, do what it says it's going to do.
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, if you can back it up with, this is why we think it's 5-star, then that's what this apple is. I mean, that apple's 5-star because it's been organically grown, sustainably farmed, kept in incubators for so long, and that's...
Well, see, what you've done there is you just told a story, and to be able to tell that story around a product or a service, that's hugely important. And I mean, we're doing a lot of work on that at the moment, right? With with the marketing side of things, being able to redefine the story of Active, so we can put it out there in a very succinct and clear way.
Yep.
So you know for a fact that there's plenty of work going on in that space at the moment. Yeah. Are you sort of enjoying that side of things?
Yeah, I am. I am. Yeah, it's a great challenge, and it's not quite a blank canvas, but it is a bit of a start. Like it's something that because who do you actually define as? I mean, we don't have a perfect customer. As it's not a product that you're buying. You've got some great body corporate managers. You've got some really great developers. But you can't. Not all of them are the same. So it's not a cookie cutter approach as well. So it's about finding out what their needs and wants are.
Do you notice then your body language changed and you sparked up a bit?
Yeah.
Started talking about that.
Oh yeah.
So you immediately lift, and that's a good way to get into I guess your new role with Active. Having done building managing for a couple of years. And we sort of, we had discussions the whole time about, doing that key account manager, new business / development type role. Talk a bit about that and let's promote that a wee bit.
Yeah,
I mean, it's a new role for the company.
It is, yeah. Look, it's a fantastic opportunity. My key account manager and sales effectively. So look, a lot of love. I mean, sorry, it's retaining our current contracts. We've had these existing relationships, but really the relationship's been with yourself and Kylie, and it's I've sort of come in now. We can show them a bit of love. Some of these guys have been supporting you for well, I don't know since day one, but over 10 years.
Yep.
So to actually catch up, engage more with them. The BC managers. Any BC managers out there happy to go for coffee?
Yeah, for sure.
And then. And also then just growing the new business. There's so many new builds being out there right now. It's about also getting in with the architects, getting in with the developers, getting in with the construction companies. Can the architects and the construction companies help us? Get win contracts or something? Maybe not, but the relationship is there. And if someone says, "Oh, who's going to be taking over building management?" "Oh, Active." "Oh, yep, I know. That's fine." And obviously the construction side of thing with especially with new builds, we've got a great reputation about going into new builds and getting stuff right and doing it. So the construction companies, the big ones, they know that's what we can do, and they know us as well. So it's about that relationship and all working together. But no, fantastic opportunity in the new role.
Yeah, it's cool, man. Like I'm super excited about it. Because we were thinking about it for a while, and
it took you a while.
It was a while. Slow burn, but it burned and it's on fire. But the thing for us was coming out of COVID and sort of doing that retrenching, and because we obviously got through COVID all right, but I think the harder part for us is actually now. But the intention was, hey, we need to come out of this COVID thing, and we need to have a retrench, but then also have a growth push as well. And hence the need for the role that you're doing. And hugely important. First time we've had a role like that. I guess historically I've taken a lot of the new business side myself, but it's nice to be able to pass it over to someone that's actually a professional at what they do, dresses a hell of a lot better than I do. You're 5-star, I'm about 1.5, maybe half a star at the moment, but
no comment.
No, I saw the look, mate. Yeah, it's an eyebrow roll. But I'm excited for the role. There's a lot of scope for it. There's a lot of scope for growing that role. And also, being the having that that opportunity to grow the company as well.
Yeah.
And which then provides opportunities for everybody, which is what we're about.
Yeah. Look, I think maybe not externally, but maybe even yourself and some of the team here, they probably see the role as, you know, going out and having coffees and lunches every day, and if that was the case, fantastic. Please, you know, hit me up. I'd love to.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's there's a lot more to it, but certainly it's about building those relationships, and that's what I probably love. And yeah, that's what I do love them, because I enjoy it. That's what I enjoy. You know, and I realise it's not going to happen overnight. You know, no one signs a contract, you know, just on the first meeting. But being front of mind in front of other, you know, BC managers and developers is probably the key goal. You know, who was that guy that came around a couple of months ago? You know, where was that proposal? You know, and then contacting through. And I know the best thing is I know we've got the team behind us to actually support it. So I'm not actually over-promising and under-delivering.
Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, mate. Well, that's been a good chat, man. I think we've gotten to the bottom of a few things and left a few things also for potentially another chat in another time. But yeah, it's been good to learn more about, I guess, your experiences with 5-star service, and you know how we can, you know, strive to you know, implement that across what we do.
Yep.
I mean, everyone's out there trying to do their best. No one goes to work and tries to do a shit job.
No.
You know, and no one aims for 1 star. We're not aiming for that. We're aiming for 5. You know, and it's, I agree with that definition back at the start. It's about you know, weaving that into the culture of your business and making sure that, you know, people have positive interactions with our team. Yeah, and I think we're on a good sort of path with that at the moment. You know, with a relatively new team, kind of like a rebuilding All Blacks team essentially. Too soon. Sorry, too soon. Yeah, but it's one of those things where, you know, it's actually quite a good opportunity to, you know, reinvent and reinvest with what we're doing with a new team, because you're more likely to get uptake.
Yeah.
You know, trying to teach an old dog new tricks at times has been tough over the years, but yeah, the new team excites me rather than scares me. So it's yeah, it's cool.
Oh, look, I think and I think the new team are very willing to get on the bus. And yeah, it is a new journey, and yeah, it's an exciting one. So yeah, I'd give you 5 stars in a Google review if I was allowed. No.
Give us 5 stars for this podcast. I think we should rate that as a 5-star. Yeah. No, it's been cool, man. Thanks for the chat, and
all good.
Yeah, we look forward to the role progressing well, and yeah, just keep doing what you're doing.
Great.
Cool.
Thank you.
Cheers, man.